Jews being stoned like in the Old Testament?
Oh,
Happens all the time?
Not forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
So in other words, there's a difference. In Islam, you still do get stoned. You get thrown out of windows. Sure. You get killed by your own family members.
Let's get right to
You
it.
get killed for leaving the religion.
Nobody's making a dispute there. The dispute that we have is whether or not
And so the point I
have
was
any
making,
obligation to morally support Israel.
All right.
Support Jews who you, by your own admission, you say is an evil ideology.
and I was saying that Israel is doing a lot of good. If there's a ring of pedophiles and a cop decides I'm going to go in there and I'm going to beat the shit out of all these people and I'm going to save all these kids, you go, wait a minute, isn't the cop a Jew? And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, well, isn't he a heretic? Doesn't he have the wrong ideology? Shouldn't we be rejecting him as much as the pedophiles? Dinesh, why are you making arguments for the lesser evil?
This is backwards. It would be like
How is it backwards?
Like,
I'm saying
it would
that
be like a
Israel...
cop who is also a pedophile beat the shit out of 10 pedophiles.
How is the cop...
And I'm like, okay, that's it.
We just...
Right on, pedophile cop who beat
Wait a
pedophile.
minute.
Like, what are you talking about?
So pedophilia...
An evil ideology, you make me want to pick and choose, but why? Why should I support either? Why?
Right, so because the cop is a drunk, and he insults his wife, and he got divorced, and he has a mistress, we're not going to support him in his campaign against the pedophiles, because he's no better than the pedophiles, because they're both evil, according to you.
No, you're taking... So, if you want to take the extremes there, we can actually do that, and we can look at that.
Why is it an extreme?
Well,
let's
Sure, hang on. We'll look
So
at the
pedophilia
same logic.
is Sharia.
Yeah, hang on.
Pedophilia equals Sharia. It's the comprehensive Islamic law.
Are you going to use your national resource or your resources? Let's just use your same example. We'll use the example of the drunk.
Yeah.
He's a drunk, and we're all morally against drunkenness, let's say. I mean,
Not me,
I'm
but
I'm not.
perhaps you are.
But let's just say in this hypothetical that you are. So the drunk cop goes in, he beats up all the pedophiles. We go, right on, man. You beat up these pedophiles, that's great. And what you're doing is a lesser evil, because we assume in this analogy that drunkenness is evil, right?
Exactly.
Now, are we going to give this guy any resources to go get beer?
Yes, if he did a good job. I would give him some resources.
So you're gonna, so you're gonna support a thing you consider to be evil?
No, I'm not supporting the evil. I mean, if you ask me,
What makes him evil? What makes the drunk evil?
Well, what I'm getting at is that the cop who did this deserves a medal. If you ask me, are we morally obligated to support cops
great.
who are
Give him a
kicking
medal.
the ass
Here,
of pedophiles?
we'll go over
my
every
answer is
time-
yes.
every
And
time
it
a
has
Jewish
nothing to
person-
do with what their private lives are like and whether, this is like...
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is you agree. Let's talk about what we agreed. You agreed that Islam represents a kind of comprehensive evil. You agreed that because that is the case.
Now I agree both of these ideologies encompass
and are they
evil.
So you would say, for example, that Judaism poses the same menace, for example, to Western civilization, to your and my religious freedom, to taking over America that, say, Islam does.
I would say that the embrace of secular Jews and that being a part of the extension of the ideology of Judaism, exactly because they don't have the same formations that you just explained Islam does create an existential threat of progressive liberal ideology all the time, including in their own nation, Israel. And I do consider that to be the existential threat of humanity right this second. Progressivism is the worst threat to planet Earth right now.
I agree.
Even above Islam, for now.
I agree. See, okay, so this is why debates like this are good. I would argue that the primary authors of Western secularism are, well, if I had to name a single religious group, it would have to be the Episcopalians. Why? Because where is progressivism the most ensconced in America? The answer is in the Northeast. That's why the guy from Maine stood up at the beginning and said Maine has been ruined. It hasn't been ruined by Jews, by the way. It's been ruined by white, Protestant, Anglicans for the most part, but Unitarians. Okay.
So these heresies lead to bad outcomes, due to the fact that they push in secular ideas, just like you would make the claim, and I would agree with you, that many Protestant ideologies, especially out east, which is where it landed first, right? What we end up seeing is that they push in progressive value structures. The problem that you have with Judaism is it does the same thing. It often pushes for secular ethics, secular values, due to the fact that it does not evangelize nor have these same foundations you're criticizing Islam for.
Right, but it's not because
Is that true, though?
no, because
No,
because
it is too
because
true.
you are blaming. Look, let's put it this way: with the Christians, you're saying that the deviation comes from departing from Christianity. So you would say, well, these Unitarians aren't really Christian.
Didn't Jews depart from Christianity?
No,
Judaism?
no.
Yes.
Hold on. Of course, Judy.
The main part of Christianity called Christ?
The analogy we were making is as follows. You are saying that secular Judaism is the fault of Judaism. That's why you said
Yes.
Judaism produces this.
Yes.
But
Yes, I
secular-
am. In fact,
Right.
it's just like I'm saying that this Protestants who have bad theology, that leads to a secular ideology,
Okay.
provably.
And let me
That's
ask you
what we
this.
saw with Judaism. Its same foundational heresy leads to secular values and progressivism. All we have to do is look at the state they're currently in that they founded, and what do you see? Dinesh, honestly, is it a progressive state or not?
It is a progressive state, but so is America. And what I'm getting at
And
here
America's
is that
founded by Protestants who are in heresy, exactly.
why does Judaism have to account for secularism as a fault of Judaism, but Christianity suffers no blame, no responsibility, no inherent objection by the fact that
Protestantism does. You just gave an accounting of it. You just said Protestants hit out east. When you have all these different Protestant heretical sects out east, that led to a progressive ideology. I said, yeah, I agree.
Hold on one sec. Hey, Sean, I think the mic, we might have lost Andrew's mic.
Testing. Okay, I think we got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I say I agree. The Protestant ideology led to progressive values. Somehow, though, when it comes to another heresy you agree is a heresy, which also led to huge progressive values in the state you just got done saying is progressive, that has nothing to do with Jews. It has nothing to do with Jews. It has nothing to do
I didn't
with...
say it has nothing to do with Jews.
It has to do with Judaism being a heresy,
I
man.
said it has nothing to do with Judaism, just like I would say the same, that in the case of the Northeast, the progressivism comes out of a rebellion against Christianity. Now, what
Like
the left-
Judaism? Like
It's a
Judaism?
rebellion against Judaism, whereas you're presenting it as a manifestation of it.
Wait, say that again?
I'm saying that the secularism in Israel is a result of a rebellion against Judaism, not a manifestation of it. You are maintaining that
It's a rebellion
Judaism...
against Christianity. The reason that these people groups become so ensconced in progressive ideology is because they reject Jesus Christ as their foundation. That is Islam, that is Judaism, and from my view, that is also many sects of Protestantism which are non-Trinitarian. The reason they have to adopt those things is because the theology is so bad, they have to fill in the gaps with other
All right,
things.
so what we're saying here, and this is a point of agreement, we are dealing with a menacing radical secularism that has developed in the world and in the West. The West invented it, the Jews did not invent it. Its authors,
Protestants didn't invent it
well,
either.
was Charles Was Nietzsche a Jew? Was Heidegger a Jew?
The Protestant Reformation paved the way for progressive ethics. I agree with that.
I agree with
But
it too.
it happened before the great thinkers of progressive enlightenment. The Protestant Reformation paved the way, but it happened before these things came to fruition. By the way, many of these Protestant heresies are considered by both Catholics and Orthodox to be Judaizing heresies for a reason. Same reason that we consider Jews to be heretics, not ethnic Jews. Remember, I'm making the distinction now between people who believe in Judaism theologically versus people who are just ethnic Jews. I don't have any problem with Arabs, and I don't have any problem with ethnic Jews. That has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
My point is, you can't look me in the eye and say that Protestant heresies led to the embrace of progressive ideology, but that Jewish heresies don't. And I can prove it to you. If you reject Jesus Christ, who is the source of all truth, what do you end up with? What do you end up with?
Let me say that even here in America, over the past 30 years,
This is not an answer to my question.
it is an answer. It is an answer. I have had a fair amount of experience with Orthodox Jews who have been fans of mine. They come up to me at events. Now, why are they fans of mine? They socially, politically, morally, they are to the right of me. They are totally against abortion. They are totally against LGBTQ.
So are Muslims.
And not only do they say it, they actually live it. Okay, hold on. So are the Muslims, correct? But what I'm getting at is that to argue that Judaism is itself responsible for secularism is stupid, because the most religious Jews are not secular at all.
Right.
They are
To argue, look, let me
on
show
the
you
moral
how,
issues.
I'm going to show you how stupid this is.
Oh,
To
yeah.
argue that Protestantism is responsible for progressivism is stupid. Because out in the hallway, I met some Protestants and they were really fucking based.
No. Hold on.
That is literally the
This is-
stupidest thing you've said tonight
This is
out of
pure
many
sophistry.
stupid things. No,
This is pure sophistry.
not sophistry.
Well, let me tell you why. Because what you do with an analogy is you misstate the analogy. If you could find me a group of devout evangelical Christians and say, these devout evangelical Christians who go to church on Wednesday, they go to church on Sunday, they are really into it and serious about their faith, but they happen to also support trans surgeries, they support abortion, I would be shocked, because I would say no. If someone is devout and serious about their faith, they're not going to support those things. They're going to be solid on the moral issues.
So Episcopalians
Hold on.
are not
No.
solid in their faith?
So
They're not
I just told you that Orthodox Jews are very solid on the moral issues, and they are not part of secular degeneracy.
Yeah, but this is
And
crazy.
then you switch the analogy and give me a generic Protestant.
I'm going to repeat it to you verbatim to make sure I got it right before I respond.
Okay.
I'm going to steel man the position and so that there's no doubt this is not a straw man.
Okay.
You are saying to me, there are Orthodox Jews who are just super based, Andrew. They don't like abortion. They don't like LGBTQ. They don't like any of that degenerate stuff. Right?
Right.
Okay. So we agree that there's lots and lots of Protestants, including Episcopalians, who use
You say
progressive and
only you
principles,
I
being
want.